Hi friends, I'm glad you're here today. Today I think we're going to make banana crumb cake. We're going to bake together. I'm starting out today on this recipe with a half a cup of softened butter. I didn't have softened butter on the counter, so I just ran that through the microwave for about 30 seconds. And then I'm going to add a cup of sugar. Going to beat those together till it's well combined. Should just take a few seconds here. The next thing I'm going to add is 3 ripe bananas. If you're unsure on size, it says to use 1 1/4 cup of bananas. I just had 3, so that's what I used. You can mash them first if you want to. Mine were so soft that I knew they'd break up well in the mixer, so I just left them. Next, I'm going to add 2 large eggs. I always break my eggs into another bowl. I use farm fresh eggs. So this is a good way for you not to ruin a product or ruin an egg if you have a bad one. So I just always crack them into another bowl. Next is 1 teaspoon of vanilla. I'm excited to get this vanilla used up because my daughter-in-law got me some from Mexico. So I'm excited to be able to transition into that one. 2 tablespoons of sour cream. If you ever see a recipe for baked goods with sour cream, you know it's going to be a nice moist product at the end. Doesn't take very much, just a little bit. Sometimes it'll be 1/4 cup. This one was 2 tablespoons. Next is 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. I buy all my ingredients in bulk from Sam's Club and have them in food grade buckets. So I had pre-measured this flour out. If that's something that you want to start doing, what I do is I buy my flour at Sam's Club, I bring it home, I put it in my freezer still in the bag. I usually freeze it for at least 2 days, but sometimes I forget about it and it goes longer. But that will kill any larvae or little critters that are in the flour, which sounds disgusting, but believe it or not, they're in there. So it'll kill that so that you won't have anything growing in your flour bucket. And then I just put it in a bucket and use it as needed. Here is 2 teaspoons of baking powder. And the last thing in the cake part is going to be 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I use real salt, so if you think the color's off, that would be why. So I'm going to mix this now. It says in the directions to mix it until it's just combined. Do not over mix it. So I went ahead and went in with a spatula just to make sure that things were well combined and I didn't have any parts that were still dry at the bottom of the bowl. Sometimes that happens. The reason I decided to do this is because I have Pinterest boards, Facebook posts, Instagram saves, anywhere a person could save a recipe. I can guarantee you I have recipes there. I don't know why. So I thought, well, this would be fun to just go on my Pinterest board or whatever, print it off, and start making some things together. Now I'm pouring it in. 1 cup of flour and 3/4 of a teaspoon of cinnamon. I don't have a 3/4 of a teaspoon, so I just used a heaping half teaspoon. Figured if it's a little more, it would be just fine. And then this is another 1/2 cup of butter softened. Again, I had microwaved this. I think I got it a little too soft, actually. You can see it's kind of melted in the middle. As I start to do this with the fork, I start to realize that the butter is just a little too melted. So it wanted to kind of stick together as a paste instead of as a cream. So I'm going to go to a pastry cutter here pretty soon. I had much more success with that. I want this to be somewhere between a pea and sand size. This worked much better, so I would say just skip the fork and go to the pastry cutter if you have one. You don't really want to use your fingers because the heat will melt the butter and you won't get a nice crumb to it. So I would definitely use a fork in the pastry cutter. Maybe you could use a food processor. I'm not sure. Never tried that before. Just kind of stirring it to make sure I get all of it combined instead of having just the flour at the bottom. Now I'm going to sprinkle it over the top, breaking it up a little bit as needed. Make sure that you get that as spread out as you can so you don't have it too thick in one spot and nothing in another. And then you can kind of see in the bowl that it's a lot sandier. So then that's why I kind of went over all of it again with that bottom part. Before this even baked, it smelled amazing. So we're going to put that in the oven at 350 degrees and it bakes for 35 to 40 minutes. Mine was perfect at 35 minutes. Here it is baked. Then I went ahead and cut a piece out